Welcome back to the Cornelius Seed podcast. I'm your host Juan, and today we're tackling a challenge that every farmer knows too well, and that's managing that crop residue. Have you ever struggled with residue causing planting delays, clogging up your planter, or tying up essential nutrients? Have you ever wondered if there's a better way to clear that leftover stover without an extra field pass? If you're serious about farming smarter and maximizing every acre, this episode is for you. Joining us today is James Cornelius, or as we call him here, JC. He's our in-house expert, and he's going to reveal how residue release can revolutionize your operation. It's that secret weapon that's going to break down that stubborn crop residue, it's going to improve your seed bed, and it's going to release nutrients exactly when your crops need them the most. So whether you're a no-till, deep tilling, or somewhere in between, you'll gain practical insights to boost your yields, streamline your planting, and enhance your farm's profitability. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome, James.
Well, good to be on again, Juan.
Hey, I'm excited to see that. Well, I'm thinking some folks are going to be upset to not see you with the Britney Spears headset on.
Yeah, upgrades happen, I guess, and didn't wear a hat either. So, the producer was trying to give me a hard time about wearing a hat and not wearing a hat. So here I did. I spent about 5 seconds on my hair this morning.
No, that's it. Well, in the breath of upgrading things and improving things, let's talk about residue release. I know a lot of folks have some misconceptions about timing and what it is and how to use it, and that's kind of our goal here is just help you get us back in introducing it. We did talk about this at high level a couple episodes ago, but a lot of questions have been coming in from the field, so we wanted to sit here and get another episode out.
Yeah, so residue release is a product that you apply to your fields with mid to high residue levels, and what it can do is help break down that residue. Back in the early 2000s especially, there was a lot of craze on this concept. Lots of people even were just spraying extra units of nitrogen out in the fall to try and feed the microbes that were out there. And really what this is doing is it's just really ramping up what Mother Nature does in the first place. Provides product to go out there and break down these residues, make it so that way it's easier to do a good job planting because there's less hard residue to break through, as well as just reduces the amount out there in the first place. So your trash whippers on your planter don't have to clear so much. The disc openers can cut through things, as well as really gives an opportunity for the soil to warm up faster as well if you have a little bit less residue sitting out there.
So you can get a benefit from getting a better seed bed to heck, maybe even saving some tractor tires. What is it? Give us a little bit of a rundown as to why should our growers care about it? There's some folks that might say, well, I'm deep tilling anyways, so I don't really need to. Why should we care?
Yeah, so there's some uniqueness to this. As we've had the conversation as we started selling this and applying it last fall, had a customer ask, okay, so if I till the ground, when do I apply it? Ahead, before, or head, or after, or what's the best time? And really the answer was, the answer is to spray it right ahead of doing any kind of tillage. That way all of the material has this product on it. So whether it's on top of the soil or underground, the microbials are on that residue and ready to work. Actually, if you incorporate it into the ground with your residue, it'll probably even work better because residue is incorporated into the soil, not being exposed to air conditions, so it's a more stable environment that can make the microbes work better. Another unique thing about residue release and why it's such a better product than what's typically been out there historically is in two facts. One, the microbes are made in spore form, so they're reproduced using sporulation, which is kind of a scientific way of just saying that they're more in a dormant state when they're in the jug. That helps with longevity of the microbes, as well as just so you can get a higher rate of microbes in the jug that are ready to work. The other thing is there's enzymes and surfactants that's added to the product to make sure that with the high surfactant loads in it, it helps have this product penetrate into the residue as compared to just sit on top. So it helps it really, really get going faster. When it comes down to, what's the real benefit and why should you care about doing this? The reality is, if you can get this residue to break down a little faster, you can release nutrients back into your crop. So the concept's typically been, hey, we do something in the fall, and that way the spring is better. Now, if you're really trying to get it so it's better for your planter to work, that's going to be your best results, is getting it done in the fall. But the reality is, there's a lot of acres that don't have any herbicide passes going on or any passes whatsoever in the fall. So if you want to look at doing this, you're adding an entire another pass to your program, which adds more expense. Us personally, at our farming entity, we are no-till for the most part, and we are spraying herbicide on in the fall to help with winter annuals. So all we had to do was mix it in with that application, and it's not really costing us any more than the product itself. So what do you get if you do it in the spring rather than in the fall? Well, what they found is the nutrients actually are released during that summer yet. So more than likely, right when your crop is specifically needing more nutrients, these residues are breaking down and getting them go. In the past, they've talked about corn on corn taking a couple of years to really not have a yield drag or plateau, partially because the residue is starting to break down, release back into the system, and just working better. But really, that's a great option to get more nutrients available in the soil, as well as.
So if I'm hearing this right, it's almost as if like if you're putting in beans, following corn, I guess would a right tactic be that that's something that you get the benefit of applying it in the fall so it goes through the season, and then you can also still get benefit applying it in the spring to kind of help feed your crop when it needs it into the summer?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the time the benefits really come from breaking down a product such as corn stover. Realistically, a lot of times your bean residue is already being broken down anyway. Not to say that it's not worth a try in certain situations, but outside of corn stalks, another place that people have really seen a benefit, and actually happens in the spring, is killing off a cover crop and maybe adding this to that. What that does is just, again, helps break down that mat, make nutrients more available, and really helps. You still get the benefit of that cover crop holding the soil. You get the benefit of it holding nutrients. You can still get benefit of it helping keep weeds down in the first place, but then later, rather than those nutrients maybe being tied up too long, they're released back into the soil profile for your current crop better. Another thing that's pretty cool about this product is it can be mixed with basically anything. I've had questions about whether or not I can mix it with my 32 or my weed and feed herbicide and nitrogen program right out of the gates, and actually the response that I've seen there is it actually works better then, because you got more nitrogen to really help those microbes ramp up and get going. You do not need the nitrogen application if you don't want to, but putting it in there, putting it in the herbicides, we've also had anecdotal results of the herbicides actually working better just because of the extra surfactant that's being put in here to help the microbes get into the residue better. So yeah, and the other thing to think about that is there's two different versions of residue release. There is the standard residue release, which has some surfactant in it, and well as the microbes. And then the next thing that version that there is the RTU version. So what that is that's got more surfactant, got some AMS in it, and some other things. So that way, if you are doing a herbicide pass, rather than have to add your own on top of that, it's already in the residue release mix, and then you can just add your herbicides and keep on keeping on.
So I mean, it just sounds like it whether it's fall or spring, this is flexible no matter how you cut it. And a few times, I'm hearing you talking about, the biologicals as it relates to this, and something that was just kind of interesting as I was getting ready for this. Iowa State University has a study out in 24 about myths and facts about residue breakdown. I'm sorry, 2014. And long and short of it, and I'll link this in the episode notes, but essentially it kind of concludes with, Residue decomposition is controlled by biological processes that are influenced by environmental and soil conditions, so weather and temperature. So, going out there and sometimes folks that might be tilling and then applying nitrogen to help feed it to break things down. Ultimately, what mattered more was temperature and really those microbes being able to be alive, right? So this residue release is helping deliver that package of microbes that's going to allow it to do that. So as far as timing goes, like right now for folks, in our footprint, if they were looking to apply it in the spring, what is it at plant before planting? How would be the timing of that?
Yeah, I think with the concept of the fall versus spring, when you spray it in the fall, you are getting that out there. You may get activity in the fall depending on what time you get out there. If you got a late harvest and you're just getting out there and it's already getting cold, then there might not be as much activity in the fall. But what you got to remember is every time in the spring here that it's too wet to be out there spraying and that's already out there going, it can start work. So as we get into the spring, the general term is the sooner the better. But again, I'm a big believer on if you can save a pass, save a pass. Don't add that extra expense of just solely going out and spray this in the spring if you don't have to. I think, once you get in crop timing, I think it's probably too late maybe to do it as far as, after the crop is up. You won't get as much coverage on the ground, but I would think that up to pre-plant or right at would probably be worth at least trying on it, because you still get that breakdown. The other thing to remember, as you warm up, you accrue so many more GDUs once between April and May or into June, you're accruing so much more heat units every day in June than you are ever in April, because it's cool nights, it's that, and you stay warmer throughout the summer. So you're still getting lots of activity later in the spring, that it can kind of catch up. So that's always a benefit there.
It's one of those things where if you're new to biologicals, right? I mean, this is something that folks have been suspect of, and it's a nice entry point to trying it out. Check the field, because you should be able to go through and touch and feel later on as the season progresses, especially in the fall whenever you've harvested and you're taking a look at stalks. Which kind of reminds me too, in the last episode we talked about whether it was safe for cattle or not. Can you remind me about that?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, as far as safe for animals and whatnot, it's completely safe for that. They're all naturally occurring microbes, and what we've been told that if for people who are doing like side-by-side checks where they only spray half the field and then they go graze it, they're actually had noticed on more than one day that the cattle actually migrated to the area that they sprayed. Again, I don't know if that's just the fact that the residue release had already started working, making that those stalks and fodder easier to chew up and get into their stomach and digest faster to get more energy, or what exactly went on. But yeah, safer animals, that's for sure.
Well, no, JC, thanks for that. I mean, it sounds like this is, just really a flexible product in terms of, whether you can tank mix it, whether you're planting in the spring or the fall. For folks that want to try this, what would be the best way to do so?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do this. Obviously, I mentioned earlier that the best way to utilize this product is to add it to an already pass that you exist and doesn't add another application cost. But the other reality is in the fall, before you get your sprayer winterized, ready to go, there's nothing really holding you back from just going out there and putting, half a load in and just going and spraying a couple fields, a couple passes side by side. Don't cover the entire thing. Maybe go at an angle to the row. May just do the borders and then a couple passes in the middle. And what you can see there is maybe throughout the winter, see some change. The residue might turn blacker depending on how much heat units we get. The other thing that you probably will notice in the spring then hopefully would be that you might wind up with faster emergence for the area that you apply the product. And the reason that is, again, the reduction in residue can help that soils warm up faster. And everyone out there wants to be able to plant, be able to plant early, be able to Get that picket fence. And the best way to do that is with warmer soils. So the sooner we can have dry, warmer soils, the better. Less residue typically translates to that. And again, if you're not able to get this product applied on the fall and you just want to do it the spring, yes, another option is just once you get done spraying your pre-emerges or stuff like that, go ahead and go back out on that same field, maybe make a couple passes with this product, maybe do just a couple passes on it before you start, and maybe just use that as your planter or your sprayers. As you take that out for the first time, make sure your sprayer's working right. It's always better to do it with something with water, so that way you don't ever screw up a herbicide pass. But this might be a way that you could do that, get it all going, and then go do half a load somewhere, and like I said, skip some passes so you can see the difference in field, and see what we can notice.
Oh, that's good to know. That's a good point because folks are busy and usually looking to get out there. And I mean, if this is helping you get out there and plant sooner or plant faster, right? You've got a lot less crap in the ground, for lack of a better word. And so I want to dig into, like, what problem are we solving with this, right? How am I getting a return on investment? And right now is a really difficult year to go through and say, hey, we think you should try this. To me, and hearing you guys talk about it and learn about it, it's obvious to me that it's about, you're making your farm more efficient, and that translates to things. What other problems are we solving?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main focus on this product is being able to make the seed bed better for the following crop. And a lot we were talking about products following corn, but again, whether it's following a cover crop, whether it's following anything really with higher residue amounts that you want to help get those nutrients back into the soil. Again, get those nutrients that are already on your farm available for your crops rather than having it being tied up. So there's a spot where you can get more nutrients, save some bang for the buck, potentially have the higher yields as a result of that. While at the same time, again, if we can get that crop off to a better start because it's got warmer soils, better planting conditions, so that way the planter did its job, didn't have to fight residue so much. Really, that typically translates into higher yields and better environment for a crop to grow.
Yeah, I mean, and that's ultimately our goal, right? And I feel like a lot of the folks that are not afraid to try new things are usually the type that want to you want to see some data, right? Like, show me something that, whether it's with yield bump or cost savings. How can someone that's listening to us right now get a hold of us, and either is there some plot data out there available, or show me the money kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, always giving one of our seed reps or district sales managers, or just frankly call the office. You can get a hold of one of us here. I think as far as, there's definitely yield data. There's the reality of the yield data is it typically can translate into higher yield. What happens sometimes is, Iowa's got the ability now or the great fortune to seemingly have a derecho every single year, so sometimes even when you start off with a better crop, there's other things that happen and take that off. But I think always starting with the best crop in the first place is what's going to maximize your yield.
All righty. And then the other thing that had come up was, something that I really appreciated about us starting this relationship with Streamline had been that we can drill down and get a tech sheet, for lack of a better word, and know exactly what microbe is doing what in there. And I think that's just something I want to plug in there still, is that whether you're listening to us or talking to other folks, make sure that you can go through and be able to ask the company, what actually are you getting, right? So that you have that peace of mind and knowing that you're going to get results out of it. I think for the most part that we hit with some of the questions that the folks had, and really at the end of the day, the way I see it is, whether this is going to help you, whether you're planting no-till beans, whether you're vertical tilling, you need a tire save, you need to make a better seed bed, or just get nutrients into your soil. I mean, it's a little bit of that Swiss Army knife, and the flexibility that it brings of being able to capture it in fall or spring, safe for the cattle if they're grazing on it. I mean, it's a pretty exciting thing. And I know you and the team and the agronomy folks have a lot of cool studies going throughout the year that I know we'll be sharing on our socials. Anything else that we're missing that you want to make sure we hit before we wrap up?
No, I think we pretty well covered it. I think you hinted there about as we look at our streamlined product lineup, I think that comment of transparency on what's in it is crucial. There's all kinds of stuff out there, and boy, if I had $1 for every time that somebody said, "Oh yeah, this product's just like that one," and whether that be in the biological space, whether that be in the chemistry space, whether it be in the adjuvants or factants or seed treatment space. I mean, it's everyone's like, "Oh yeah, it's the same." It's like, well, is it? And 99 times out of 10, the answer is no. So if it's not identical, it's not the same. So the nice thing about this is being able to see what's actually in every product. A lot of times these products are more of a shotgun approach. Yes, there's a chance that some of the stuff in it might not be doing as much for your specific field as the other parts. But I've always thought if you want to go out there and mainly just focus on one thing, or if you can put a couple products to action for the same price, you're probably better off doing that. So that way, maybe 3 of the 5 things work on your field, and 2 or 3 of the other ones work on another guy's field. But the better benefit of the doubt is you have the products that work. You didn't pick the 2 that didn't do anything. So that's pretty important with the transparency and options and having more ability to do things here. And really what we want to do is make sure that you test it, make sure you have a reason for it, and let you profit from it.
All right. For folks that want to get out, man, we mentioned you can reach out to whether it's one of the seed reps or one of the district sales managers. What's timing look like right now if someone wants to get their hands on it? What kind of lead time is there? How soon can someone get this?
Yeah, I mean, we have supply in-house right now. We will be distributing product throughout the Cornelius country. I'd have some people having season supply as well, but if you're thinking about doing it, obviously a couple days notice is always the best. But like I said, we have some on hand. We plan to have some on hand throughout the year, and best thing is just get a hold of the salesman and start the process.
Well, I think that's all we have there, folks. If you want to try Residue Release or any of those products, go to our website, corneliusseed.com, or look us up on any of the socials. You can find us by looking up Cornelius Seed or at Planet Profit. And thanks for joining and listening. So until the next one.